Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today's deck is going to focus around the Sceptile EX, which is ideally the one of the main attackers of our deck. I mean, it's not going to be the only attacker of our deck by any means. And there's both some pros and cons to the Sceptile EX. One thing that I do like about the Sceptile EX is that its strong slash attack can be quite powerful in case we do have a muscle band that latched onto it, and we use the Virizion and the Hypnotoxic Laser, which allows us to hit for that magic 180 damage. Now, what I really dislike about Sceptile EX is that the strong slash attack requires 3 grass energies, so that's a little bit unfortunate. It would have been nice if it was 2 grass energies and 1 energy card of our choice, but unfortunately that's not how Sceptile EX works. And to top it off, whenever we do use the strong slash attack, we're unable to use it again during our next turn. So that is something that we're going to have to overcome. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that in this particular deck. Agility is a pretty weak attack. I'm not really going to be discussing it. So anyways, Sceptile EX using its strong slash attack in combination with the Muscle Band, the Virizion, and the Hypnotoxic Laser will allow us to get those big one-hit knockouts. Now, of course, it requires quite a few grass energy cards to get going, so that's where the Virizion EX really comes in handy. With its Emerald Slash attack, it will allow us to speed up the rate of energy card attachments to any of our Pokemon. Ideally, these will be used to attach some grass energy cards onto our Sceptile EXs. So we are running a total of 3 copies of the Virizion EX in our deck. Also, its Verdant Wind ability is very, very useful as well. I've encountered quite a few decks that run Hypnotoxic Lasers, and Virizion EX, of course, completely nullifies that. So that is something definitely that I like about this deck. Another Pokemon that we're running, guys, is the Dragonite EX. Now, mainly we're using it due to its Bustin ability. So whenever we attack with the Sceptile EX and whenever we are forced to use its strong slash attack, during our next turn we can go and lay out a Dragonite EX and then use the Bustin ability, and then we can just repeatedly attack. Because I mean, it would be it's just a real shame that we can't use the same attack with our Sceptile EX twice in any given turn. So I felt like Dragonite EX was sort of a nice way to bypass that restriction. I'm not entirely sure how well it works, but Dragonite EX has been performing really well in this deck thus far. It's actually, I'm ashamed to admit it, but it's actually more so been the main attacker of our deck than the Sceptile EX. So Dragonite EX is a very worthwhile addition to this deck. We are running 3 copies of him. And the very last Pokemon that we are running in our deck, guys, are 2 copies of the Eevee with the Energy Evolution ability and 2 copies of the Leafeon. Just because we need them in case we encounter some sort of safeguard type deck, in case we encounter Pyroar, although Pyroar would pretty much spell an auto loss for us, and of course in case we encounter a deck that makes use of the Beautifly. So Leafeon is a very powerful Pokemon, I would say. It tends to see a lot of play nowadays just because it's really strong with respects to countering Seismitoad EX completely, and it has that water resistance, which again is very helpful against Seismitoad EX decks, and Energy Crush can be useful against a whole host of different decks. So we will be running 2 copies of the Leafeon in our deck. Now, since we are making use of the Dragonite EX, I felt like it would be nice to include some Scoop Ups in our deck, so we are running a total of 4 copies of the Super Scoop Up. This will ideally allow us to get those badly damaged Pokemon back into our hand, and then we can possibly lay down the Dragonite EX, which can of course make use of its Bustin ability. We're also going to be running the Scoop Up Cyclone as our ace-spec card. Again, this is going to make life a little bit difficult in case our opponent is unable to perform those big one-hit knockouts. So Scoop Up Cyclone is going to help us out a great deal as well. Most of the other cards in our deck are actually pretty self-explanatory, guys. I'm not really going to be discussing them. We're running a single copy of the Starling Megaphone to allow us to deal with Garbodor. 4 Ultra Balls will allow us to grab the Pokemon that we need, 2 VS Seekers to reuse any of our supporter cards, 1 Colress, 4 Hands, and 4 Junipers for some draw support, 2 Lysanders to lure out any of our opponent's bench Pokemon, 3 Muscle Bands will increase the total damage output of our Pokemon, and a total of 14 energy cards. 10 of them are the Grass Energy, and 4 of them are the Double Dragon Energy, which of course only works with our Dragonite EX. So with that, guys, let's go and find ourselves our first opponent. Again, even though this is a Sceptile EX deck, Dragonite EX really sort of seems to be the star player of our deck. Okay, so it looks like We're going to be facing a Psychic, Steel, and Normal type deck. I'm not entirely sure what type of deck our opponent will be running. I will be starting off with the Dragonite EX, or should I start off with the Eevee? You know what, let's go and actually bring out the Eevee as our active Pokemon. I could evolve it right away. Let's save that Dragonite EX in our hand for now. Okay, looks like we're going to be seeing the Phantom. Alright, so luckily our Virizion EXs are going to go a very long way against the opponent's deck. So let's go and bring out that Leafeon. Use that N, really hoping for an Ultra Ball. And looks like we're not going to get the Ultra Ball right away, guys. I'm going to go and lay down another Eevee. We may be getting item locked this turn, so I'm going to go and attach the Muscle Band onto our Sceptile EX, just in case our Leafeon happens to get poisoned. Let's go and use that Hypnotoxic Laser, and awesome, we're going to get the heads, and unfortunately with that, guys, we have to go and end the turn. I'm sure our opponent is probably running a Wally's Trevenant type of deck, so he's probably going to get that item lock going right away, so that's why I decided to make use of that Hypnotoxic Laser, before, of course, we are ultimately item locked. So this can be an interesting battle. I definitely feel like we're going to be seeing our Virizion EX really saving the day for us, in case this deck is precisely how I think it's going to be, because Virizion EX, of course, gives us that immunity to special conditions and things like that. Alright, so let's see what our opponent is deciding to do. He is just taking a bit of time. I'm not entirely sure if they are lagging at the moment or just really racking their brains as to how exactly they would like to go on doing their turns. We finally see a Psychic Energy card getting attached to the opponent's Phantom. I'm not really sure, yeah, so it looks like it's not going to be evolving. He's going to Lysander out our Eevee. Luckily, we do have another Grass Energy card in our hand, so we can easily use that to bring out another Leafeon. And of course the Shaman EX will allow the opponent to draw onto some additional cards, so that setup ability really does go a long way. And yes, so the opponent has already made use of their supporter card, so we're definitely not going to be seeing the Trevenant coming out during this turn, so that is definitely going to work in our favor. And I'm not sure if the opponent is going, well, if he does make use of that Astonish attack, it could potentially get rid of the Grass Energy card in our hand, which I'm really hoping does not happen, and it looks like our double Dragon Energy is going to go into the discard pile, which is actually something better as opposed to our Grass Energy card. So let's go and bring out that other Leafeon and then make use of that Energy Crush, hitting our opponent's Phantom for 20 damage, and then it's going to be the opponent's turn once again. I'm sure he's going to be bringing out the Trevenant during this turn, but in case he would like to attack with that Trevenant, he's going to have to attach a double Colorless Energy, and then that would allow our Leafeon to hit for exactly 60 damage. Looks like the opponent is going to quit the game, so that was a little bit unexpected. Not really sure if the opponent just wasn't getting the cards that they wanted and they felt like, you know what, the heck with this game, I'm just gonna go and quit. But it's okay, we're finding ourselves another opponent, and it looks like this time around I think it's gonna be a Night March deck. Not entirely sure, but usually Psychic in combination with Lightning is almost always indicative that we are facing a Night March based deck. So it looks like we're going to start off with a Sceptile EX. Not exactly the best Pokemon to start off with. Ideally, Virizion EX is the Pokemon that we'd like to start off with, and it looks like we're going to be seeing the Mew EX as our opponent's active Pokemon. So I definitely want to make sure we try and win those Stadium Wars, because those Dimension Valleys can really go a great deal with respects to allowing both the opponent's Mew EX and that Pumpkaboo with respects to dishing out a whole lot of damage to us. Looks like the opponent is going to use the Juniper. The only Night March Pokemon that he was able to put into their discard pile was the Pumpkaboo, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but of course we are seeing the Battle Compressor, so the Night March Pokemon count in the opponent's discard pile is going to go up very quickly, especially since I think I'm going to have to resort to using the N, guys. But we'll see how things go. Right now we're just waiting to see what Pokemon the opponent puts into their discard pile. I'm almost entirely sure it's going to be composed of Lampents and, okay, one Pumpkaboo as well. So the opponent probably has two Lampents prized. Otherwise, I'm not really sure why he would... okay, so an additional Lampent going into the discard pile thanks to that Ultra Ball and an additional Dimension Valley as well. I believe I saw Steel-type Pokemon, yeah. So that's probably the Drachi EX. I don't think I saw normal type Pokemon, so the opponent does not have any Shaman EXs, I don't think. That Mr. Mime is going to be pretty useless. None of our Pokemon can really snipe our opponent's bench Pokemon anyways. He is going to use the Acrobike, get another card in their hand. Again, I don't really want to make use of our N card, but I feel like I really have no other choice. So let's go and start off by using that Hypnotoxic Laser. We're going to get details. Let's go and attach a Grass Energy card onto our Sceptile EX. That Ultra Ball, get rid of the N, and a Grass Energy card from our hand as well. I think I'm going to go and bring out the Eevee, just because in case I do have to attack with it, we'd only be giving up a single prize card through attacking with it. So let's go and use that N. And okay, so really hoping for the heads when we use that agility attack. Are we going to get it? And no, we are not. So there is quite a high likelihood that our Sceptile EX will be getting knocked out during this turn, guys. The opponent only needs to put 2 more Night March Pokemon into their discard pile. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 more Night March Pokemon into the opponent's discard pile, and then that Mew EX would be able to hit us for 180 damage, which would be more than enough to knock out our Sceptile EX. So hopefully the opponent doesn't have the isn't able to get some more Night March Pokemon in their deck. That's what I'm really hoping for. We are seeing another Juniper, an additional Joltik going into the opponent's discard pile. So 2 Night March Pokemon short from being able to draw onto 2 prize cards. So hopefully, really hoping again that our Sceptile EX does not get knocked out right away. I will definitely be using the end, possibly the Super Scoop Up as well, in case our Sceptile EX. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go and stick with that. Super Scoop Up, let's go and use it. Hope for that heads. We're gonna get details, unfortunately. I don't think I would like to use the Starling Megaphone right now. I want to save it in case the opponent attaches some more tool type cards to any of their Pokemon. So let's go and use that N, guys, to get some new cards in our hand. And we have the Verbank City Gym, which I'll absolutely be laying down. Let's go and use that Super Scoop Up once again. Tails, my goodness, Super Scoop Up, come on, give us a head. Awesome, looks like we're finally gonna get it. Let's go and bring out that Eevee. I'm gonna go and bring out the Sceptile EX onto our bench and the Virizion EX as well. So we should be able to knock out our opponent's Pokemon. Thankfully, we got the Startling Megaphone once again. Let's go and attach that Grass Energy card, bring out that Leafeon, and then hit our opponent for 60 damage, and that poison damage will allow us to knock out the opponent's Mew EX. Alright, so our first 2 prize cards, thankfully one of them happens to be the Juniper as well, so we'll absolutely be making use of that during our next turn. Once the Leafeon does get knocked out, I think I'd like to bring out the Sceptile EX, just because there's the possibility that it can survive and attack if we happen to flip a heads with the agility. That Mew EX is of course easily going to obliterate our Leafeon. We are seeing the Battle Compressor, so at this point I feel like there's no doubt that the opponent's Pokemon will just repeatedly be able to hit those big one-hit knockouts. Maybe getting rid of that Joltik could potentially be our priority. So let's see what our opponent actually decided to Battle Compress. Yeah, so it looks like it's some additional Night March Pokemon. Yeah, so I think that Joltik is the only Pokemon that we need to take care of, guys, because I mean once we do, that Mew EX won't have the ability to make use of any of the opponent's benched Night March Pokemon. So I feel like that was a bit of a foolish choice on the opponent's part. I feel like they've discarded just too many of their Night March Pokemon. At least that's my perspective of it. Verbank City Gyms, do I want to discard them or do I want to use the N? I think I'm unfortunately going to have to stick with the Juniper. I'd like to be able to draw onto some additional cards. Let's go and lay down another Virizion EX, guys. Attach a Grass Energy card onto our Sceptile EX and then make use of that agility. Again, really hoping for that heads, and we're not going to get it. That is unfortunate. That Mew EX will be able to knock out our Sceptile EX with a single attack once again. So we really need to prevent our opponent from being able to win now. This is starting to look like just way too close of a game that is in our opponent's favor. I mean, he doesn't have the price card advantage just yet, but again, with him knocking out that Sceptile EX, we'll be able to take the advantage, and the game is definitely in their favor as opposed to ours for the time being. So let's go and bring out a Virizion EX as our own active Pokemon. Unfortunately, I do think I'm going to have to resort to using that Juniper. Let's go and attach that Muscle Band, and it's quite unfortunate that we're seeing the Scoop Up Cyclone go into the discard pile, but unfortunately not a whole lot I can do about it. So let's go and use that Juniper, get some new cards in our hand. The Hypnotoxic Laser, we are going to get the heads, so that's nice. Those damage counters are certainly going to stack up. Let's go and use that Ultra Ball to get rid of a Lysander and another Ultra Ball in our hand. I think I'd like to bring out the Sceptile EX and attach a Grass Energy card to him. And then unfortunately with that, guys, we have to go and end the turn. That Mew EX is going to wake up. So now it can knock out our Mew EX. If I had a Muscle Band though and I could lure out the opponent's Joltik, I don't think that the opponent would be able to make use of Night March anymore unless they're running some Sacred Ashes in their deck, which would of course mean that me knocking out that Joltik pretty much does absolutely nothing at all. So let's see what the opponent decides to do, hoping that they don't have a Lysander in their hand, and that they don't get rid of the Sceptile EX on our bench with a single attack, because our Sceptile EX will definitely be able to take care of that Mew EX, but of course that benched Mew EX is looking pretty menacing as well. So we are just waiting to see what the opponent does. Again, just taking a very long time deciding what they would like to do, and yeah, so I'm not sure what to say at this point. I mean, the opponent is taking just a ridiculously long time. Not sure what's going through their mind. Maybe their game is frozen, because I know that happens from time to time. No, it looks like they were just wasting time for whatever reason, which I really don't know why. So let's go and bring on the Sceptile EX as our own active Pokemon. Let's go and attach the Muscle Band to him, a Grass Energy card. I feel like now it's really dependent on whether we get the Agility. I mean, do I want to Lysander out the opponent's Joltik? It's really a risky move, I would say, but I think that is what I'm going to do, guys. So let's go and look for that Lysander. Again, I'm almost positive that the opponent has no more Night March Pokemon. I saw 3 Joltiks in the opponent's discard pile, yeah, and 4 Pumpkaboos as well, yeah. So let's go and Lysander out the opponent's Joltik and then use that Agility, hoping for the heads as well, guys, so that we are immune to attacks. Awesome, looks like we're going to get it, and then let's go and draw onto another prize card. So if the opponent is not running any Sacred Ashes, we should be able to win the game, guys. Just because those Mew EXs won't really be able to hit us for a whole lot of damage, and currently our Sceptile EX is immune to any sorts of attacks. So it looks like that Agility really came through for us right now. The opponent is going to use that Acrobike, get rid of an additional card, and draw onto a card as well. So it looks like he's deciding to put that Dimension Valley in their discard pile. Could make use of that overrun attack to snipe our Virizion EX for a little bit of damage. We're seeing another Ultra Ball though, but again, no more Night March Pokemon remaining in the opponent's deck. We're seeing the Jirachi EX. Maybe the opponent is running some Skylas in their deck, and that Jirachi EX could allow him to look for a Sacred Ash. Again, that's really not a situation that I would like to be into, but I think we're relatively safe. I think the opponent was a little bit foolish, I would say, with respects to getting all of those Night March Pokemon in his discard pile. So we should be able to knock out our opponent's Mew EX during our next turn, and then I feel like the tides of the game will be more so back in our favor as opposed to the opponent's. I'll definitely be making use of the end card as well, guys, just to reduce the number of cards in the opponent's hand to a single one. And I'm really hoping that we can make a comeback. Yeah, so again, the opponent is just wasting some time. We're seeing the Lysander, so he could certainly lure out our Virizion EX if that is what he would like to do. But currently he would only be able to hit it for a mere 20 damage and make use of that overrun attack. So that's the only attack that Mew EX can currently use. So it looks like that Virizion EX is going to get Lysandered out. Hopefully we can draw into an energy card during our next turn, guys. Both of our Pokemon going to take 20 damage. Let's go and use that and get some new cards in our hand. So we have an additional Sceptile EX in our hand. Unfortunately, we can't retreat our Virizion EX just yet. Let's go and use that Hypnotoxic Laser, get the heads, and then end the turn. Hopefully that Pokemon remains asleep. Looks like that Mew EX is going to wake up. Again, I would love to be able to draw into Dragonite EX just because it can bust in, or an energy card, or some sort of draw supporter card. So we have quite a few options. So I still would say that we have a very high likelihood of now being able to win the game. Again, just because the opponent got rid of so many of his own Night March Pokemon and then put them into his own discard pile prematurely, I would say. Alright, so we have the Dragonite EX. Let's go and use its Bust-In ability. So I'm going to go and attach a Grass Energy card from that Sceptile EX and then attach the Double Dragon Energy on our Dragonite EX. Let's go and use that Jet Sonic attack. We will not be discarding an energy card and knocking out our opponent's Mew EX to be able to draw onto 2 prize cards. That Manectric EX is going to make its appearance. Hopefully, okay, so we're seeing a VS Seeker, possibly another Lysander. I feel like our opponent is just trying to pick off our Virizion EX, which is relatively defenseless at the moment. Okay, it looks like instead it's actually going to be the Juniper, so the opponent is going to get some new cards in their hand. I mean, the opponent's Manectric EX can only hit for 20 damage at a time, so I feel like we're relatively safe. Okay, so with the Assault Laser, it can now hit our Dragonite EX for 60 damage. Heart Charm is also going to insulate that Manectric EX a little bit. So let's see. Alright, so we have a Grass Energy card. We'll be attaching that to the Dragonite EX. I think we should definitely be able to win, guys. So let's go and use that Jet Sonic attack. We'll be giving up a Grass Energy card to hit our opponent's Manectric EX for 100 damage. And let's see if the opponent decides to retreat it. Again, we have another Grass Energy card in our hand. So if the opponent does decide to Lysander out one of our bench Pokemon, I could easily retreat it by attaching an energy card to them. Just because, of course, they have a single retreat cost each. The opponent is going to use that VS Seeker once again. Looks like it's going to be the N. So I think that's going to be the end of the game. Sorry, that was a terrible pun, but I decided to go with it anyways. Alright, yeah, so that is going to be the game, guys. And just going to say GG to our opponent as well. That was an excellent game, but again, I felt like they were just a little foolish with respects to getting rid of all of their Night March Pokemon. So yeah, so I think that is going to be it, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.